What is up, YouTube? These are Lawless is back at you with another YouTube video, and today I'll be discussing non-engine in the current format. Why am I discussing it now, near the end of the format? I have a regional tomorrow, and I don't believe these non-engine cards will have much change with the release of the Fighting Structure deck. Now, arguably, I've got to test that a bit more personally, and we'll see how the meta progresses. But from my current understanding of the meta and what's happening, I don't believe these cards are going to be needed. Are going to be needed? Are going to change in how good they are. Some of these will not be needed, and some of these I have put in here for those of you that are curious about. I know. What's a good card in here? The Avenger Engine, I'm actually mentioning this. How good that is right now. Because I've seen some decks play it, I think. Phantom Knight is playing it currently with the Horus cards, which is an interesting concept, I'll say, because why not? Sprite's playing it as its best variant right now, so who knows? It could be really good, or it can be really bad. We're about to find out now. Starting off with hand traps here. Now with hand traps, there's only a few of these I think is worth mentioning. And that's mostly because a lot of them do the same thing this format, being stuff like, well, I'll pull out the two I've got. I own, and I think it's a great example here. Veiler. I apologize for it being in reverse. That's how I'm bombing this. Imperm. Monster Effect Negation. Very, very powerful this format. Why is each so good? Veiler, it's not a once per turn. Meaning if you have multiple in your hand, you can go, I discard Veiler, and now suddenly your monster's negated. And I go, well fine, I'll then go, I special summon, I don't know, Perlily effect. Veiler. And obviously it's really like that. Imperm is a bit more interesting. I do think Imperm is better than Veiler. It always has been. Imperm is like the best one. Not, I'd argue it's the second best hand trap this format. And I'll get to the first, like the best hand trap this format in a bit. Because it's just so it hits everything except one deck, in my opinion, Labyrinth. Now I think I should mention the context here. The decks I'm referring to when I say the best decks of the format is Labyrinth, Pearly, Infernoble, Mannadium, Tearlament, and wait, there's always a one I forget. You a minute. If we show me those five for now. If it comes to me, it comes to me. If it doesn't, it doesn't. At the end of the day, I'm not too fast. I'm gonna have a quick check when I wrote this down. But yeah, that's not it. Rescue Ace. Almost got about Rescue Ace. That was a minor mishap, but it's fine. Yeah, this is good against all those decks except really Labyrinth, in my opinion. While the set effects, you know, it comes up like, oh, look at that, and flip it face up, Imperm column moment, ha 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 ha. If you get an Eradicator Epidemic Virus, or Dimensional Barrier, or whatever heinous things they're up to, one Imperm's not enough. And I'm seeing a lot of lab decks go to more IKEA based, you know. They're getting their Stovey Torbies down at an extra discount price. They're getting their chandeliers early. And they're getting their cuckoo clocks to let them cheat the game. I think cuckoo clocks should be banned because they've been EEV'd too many times on branded, but that's me personally. Nothing against Labyrinth players. Now, before anyone gets a bit mad at me, I'm fine with Labyrinth players. They're the nice people I've met in the UK community. Labyrinth the deck, I don't like you. I do not like you, Labyrinth the deck. Labyrinth players, you're the best. Labyrinth the deck, I do not like you. No. But yeah, Imperm is just really good. It hits tier. If you're going to Imperm stuff a tier, I generally, when a deck like Branded, you want to hit Bagooska if they have to make it. But they don't normally do that unless you've got Shifter going. Which I don't own and I would talk about, but I'm not asked. And I don't like Floodgates, like Shifter, which is like Dark Law, but a hand trap. Doesn't seem very fair to me. And obviously, if you can play Shifter, you play Shifter. If you can't play Shifter, you don't. Easy. But yeah. Against tier, I recommend, if they hard play Rhino Heart, do that. If not, I recommend to your own turn to Imperm an interruption that they have, maybe like to redo it, you're not worried about. Zeus if they have it, somehow. Little Knight's obviously a good hit with Imperm because it forces the Little Knight away. And often, and if you're forcing away the Little Knight, that's an extra interruption you don't have to deal with. Veiler against Tearlament goes second. You're going when they go in first, hit Rhino Heart, generally. That's what you'd want to do. Hive Face, normal summon it, or any of their mill stuff. Against the other decks, pretty easy. Imperm, Surveiller, Morna, the Turbulence in Rescue Ace. What other decks are there? Vanadium stuff, I recommend Reinhardt, I think it's called. Infernoble, I don't really know. I'll be honest, I know it does things. It says like 5 negates. But I don't really know how to stop it. Oh no, Isolde. Stop the Isolde second effect. Not the first, second. Listen to me. You stop the second effect. You do not stop the first effect. First effect is fine. This is also a note to future me for Saturday. Yeah. Imperm's one of the best cards this format, and I would recommend you play it at 3 copies in your deck. I should hopefully get them 3 more of these actually by my regional, but if they don't arrive because the Royal Mail's rubbish, I guess I'm running the one with some Veilers. Like, it's not the end of the world, and Veilers are really good this format as well. Droll. You can't see that. There's glare. Droll. It's good. This is the card I recommend you play again because of Vanadium, Infernoble, not really Tier or Rescue Ace, but Pearly hits. I love drawing decks like that. Lab, meh. And it's pretty good against rogue decks or Exodia, FDK, Jeff Leonard. Don't know why he did that. Don't know why he played Exodia. Sorry, should specify that. Base for playing it in a Droll format. You are risky, my friend. But yeah. Droll, it's really good. This trap is the nuclear bomb of Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. If you're forced to play Droll in the format, generally it's a sign that it's not a great format. And this is the only format I disagree. I love this format. It's so diverse, you doesn't just have like a top deck. Because I got more competitive with this game with Tearlament Shizu. You know, the Tier 0 format. I've been playing since I was young, but that's got more and more competitive, and it was a Tier Shizu. Yeah. You can guess my fun with the Tier 0 deck. And then I went to Castia. Yeah, this is great. And then we had Super Heavy Samurai Pearly Cash. Ooh. And then basically it died out. Yeah, and then we've got more diverse formats with Vanadium, Pearly, Tearlament's back. I like Tearlament. The matchup, it's one of my most difficult matchups for me because it's so fast and you got to remember everything with it. But it's the one I'm most confident in. That's why I think Droll's good because it doesn't really hit tier. But if it's against a deck you don't need, this is free side out. If you're playing a card like DRNM, I don't know why. I'll get DRNM later. You can swap that Droll out for that if you don't need it. Against trap decks, you can just side out. It's great for siding get out against decks, and that's why I love Droll right now. It's great against decks, usually, and if it's not good, there's your card to side out immediately. The best hand trap of the format, it's one that as a branded player, brings me much pain and suffering. Ash. Bloss. Why is Ash so good? Let's see here. It hits every deck. Finished. Sure, it's a bit iffy against Pearly, but you Ash, my friend, they're in a bit of a pickle. You Ash Guido or Kelbeck, they're in a bit of... That's not great for Tearlament. I think you Ash Hydrant? I don't actually know what you Ash in Rescue Ace. You Ash the second effect of Isolde. You, again, never stop the first effect, it's always the second. Remember that. I want to say it's Reinhardt that you stop with Ash, but Vanadium's not my matchup. But yeah. Ash is just... It just hits everything. And Labyrinth, the welcome cards. Easy. It's just so good, this format. You don't want to be caught lacking without an Ash Blossom in this format. That's my advice for you right now. Nib. My favourite hand trap. And that's a statement I will not take back. This is my favourite hand trap. And I love Nib, this format. It's great. Against decks like Vanadium, Infernoble, it either forces an interruption or some with Vanadium, they can't always play through it with some hands. If you don't interrupt them at the right point. Tearlament, it's pretty good against as well from my own experience. If you interrupt them at the right point. Generally, I wait until the end of the main phase and I'm like, Nib, and if they haven't got Baron up, they lose their board, and then that's a major issue for them. They've got to try and rebuild everything. Unchained. I forgot about Unchained when I mentioned earlier. Unchained's a great deck this format. And the other cards I mentioned have been good against Unchained, especially Nib, because there's some combos that play through Nib, but they're not always going to have access to them is the main issue. And it's still a nuisance to play through it. Lastly for hand traps, the Bestials. I got a Magnum Hut here. Druid's one is the other one people play. It's because this is limited, but generally, they're decent. If your deck can play Bestials, they're a good side option. If they profit off Bestials, like mine currently does, I'm playing Keeper branded, by the way, they're pretty good, main. I'm actually siding them personally because of deck restraints, honestly, even though 15 non-engine. But they're still good cards to have. So shutting down Tearlament branded is going to come up. That's weird. It's a fan favourite deck at this point. It hits Unchained a bit, especially Druid's one. Rescue Ace, it's meh. Labyrinth, meh. I think it hits Mannadium decently. Not great, but decently. One of the decks good against. Infernoble, it's... Again, I don't know what you're doing to Infernoble other than stop Isolde. And Kaijus. We'll get to Kaijus later, though. But yeah, that's it for hand traps. The Adventure Engine I'm going to put up now. I think it's a decent engine in this format. It's not amazing, and there's a reason for this. Labyrinth is still the issue, and they are EV cool. You know, this chap. Spells. Yeah, engine shut down. But then again, most decks shut down, so it's like, you can't always get around that. Tearlament. Now, obviously, Water Tranches can have it in the grave, add it back from your deck grave to hand. But what happens if you mill, Griffin? What happens if you mill the other stuff to do with it? It becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. And it's seen that Tearlament can mill 10 cards, or if they want to take out your deck, 13 cards off your deck. Not looking good for you, is it? So if your deck needs it, like Sprite or PK, go ahead, play it. Because PK also benefits with the graveyard, so they're fine with it. Sprite, they're just the most resilient deck I know. You can Droll them, you can Nibiru them, you can Ash them, and then like, cool. Still got them board up. So yeah, if your deck can play the array of Aramesir and Adventure Package, go ahead and do it. But only if it's mandatory, I'd say. If you're playing like branded, don't bother. Tearlament, don't bother. Decks like Sprite I mentioned, PK, you can do it. I think Bestial Adventure, HBO, Horus Bestial Orcust. If you're not keen on the Bestials, which is the one I'd personally iffy with that list, just play the Adventure Engine. It works. It's not amazing, but it works. And if it's something you prefer, go ahead and do it. Called by the Grave, cross out Designator. Yes, I own one of these. Just the one. So yeah, might include these in some deck profiles in the future. Centurion, play this. You play every hand trap under the sun with your 16 combos, and then 16 combos, and then what? 24 non-engine slots? Yeah, you can play cross out. Because especially Centurion, you can cross out Prosperity if it need it. Imperm, Ash, Veiler, Droll, Super Poly, I've seen them do. Which I believe is a bit weird, but they can do it. It's not a case of, ooh, I shouldn't really do that, should I? You can, so go ahead and do it. If your deck has the space to do it, do it. And if you play enough non-engine, go ahead, do it. Play cross out. Called by is a different story. Obviously, it's still limited, which is a bit of an issue towards Called by, because some decks you have to play it because you hard lose to Ash, like branded. But even the meta decks, I think some of them are playing it, like Pearly, Mannadium, Infernoble, I think I've seen playing it because of Droll Mob being such an issue for them. Rescue Ace has it in some builds, some of them don't bother, they don't care. Tearlament doesn't play it because they're Tearlament, they're like a pile deck. They're just milling at their cards till they run out of cards to mill. When you die, one of the two. But yeah, Call By, I think, if you have like 39 cards, Call By is a good option. And in some decks you do lose to a specific monster hand trap, you might as well run Call By just to try and play around it a bit more. Floodgates. Now, I said I wasn't going to talk about Shifter. I didn't say I was going to talk about two others. One of which, I'm very opposed against this format. The other one, I'm all for this format. What am I opposed against? This chap, Skill Drain. It's a good card. Obviously, you're playing Labyrinth, you can have the option to play it. But some decks, I've seen Stevie Blunder, Stevie Wonder, Stevie Wonder. I've insulted you there, I'm so sorry. I love your channel. I've just seen other things. You are Stevie Wonder, I believe. Seen your deck profile, Labyrinth. I do agree with you. Not playing Skill Drain anymore because it's cringe, is one way to put it. But also, it's a bit low impact when the Rescue Ace exists to just goodbye. I don't care. 4 back row, an issue. And if going first, second, it's not great, is it? You can pop it with some decks. So it's not something you want to be playing right now, in my opinion. Skill Drain or Rivalry or Goes In. Because you got cards like, they're playing Cyclone still. They're playing Feather Duster, Lightning Storm. Thrust still exists, so they can search for the first 2. You don't want to be caught lacking with Skill Drain. Fortunately, that's the way it is. Dimensional Barrier. Go ahead and play that. I play a Fusion deck. You guys know this. I'm saying this is healthy for the format right now. Specifically, hear me out, because of Pearly, Mannadium, and Infinoble. Now, Infinoble, it doesn't really care. I don't think it cares too much about the no synchros, but it has its impacts. Like, they can't do the Link one with 3,000 attack points. That's pretty damn good, if you ask me. Against Pearly, well, they can't Exceed Summon X Pearly Noir, or they can't get to it, for that matter. By not having access to their best part of their deck, they're stuck with whatever links they're playing, which is usually just Anima, Little Knight, I believe, and something else. Usually, I've seen the Dark John being played. But that's about it. That's not enough. You really need more in your Pearly list than that if you get debarried. I'd recommend playing about 4 links in your Pearly list, with the extra means something maybe like Nightmare Phoenix, or even like that, like a Link 3 like Unicorn, just something interruptions going second to break their board slightly. But yeah, you don't want to be caught lacking with debarrier, and then you call Synchro against Mannadium, you're fine. They might kill you, but you're generally fine. Okay, more board breaker stuff now. Santa Claus / Kaijus, Sphere Mode. I don't own Lava Golem, but we'll get to. I'm not going to talk about that because it's in the between of these two. This only hits combo decks, and well, that's pretty good. Well, Mannadium exists. That's great. Infinoble exists. That's amazing. Tillerman exists. Oh wait, they get profit in the graveyard. So, And the other decks, Unchained. I'm not mentioning that much today, but it's meh, I guess. Against Unchained, they'll just pop it and do some more shenanigans and rebuild their board. So I guess you do something there. You go against Labyrinth, or nice Kaiju thing. Nice Tribute 3. Eradicate Epidemic Virus. Debarrier. It's not good. I don't think it's very good, this format. If your local scene or your regional scene plays loads of control, like I'm talking like Runic Sprite Furhire, I'm talking Infinoble, Mannadium, not Space Tracker, Code Talker, go ahead and do it. I know I just said Code Talker, Math Mech then. They play decks that usually get about 3 months on board. Just Sphere Mode them. Forehead. It's not bad. It's not in play it. Otherwise, I prefer sticking to Santa Claus. And I've got Santa Claus up, not Kaiju, because Merry Christmas. I'm getting in the festive spirit. But in all seriousness, I prefer Santa Claus to Kaijus, because it's in defense mode, not attack. And it's like funnier. I'm sorry. I know Kaijus have been played for so long, like Gamma CL, but just giving them a Santa Claus over their X Pearly Noir is the funniest thing I've seen. And yeah, some of the issues with Sphere Mode have come up with Kaijus. In the fact that, you can't tribute stuff against Labyrinth really, and you can't really do stuff against most of the stuff you tribute with Unchained's not great. Until remember the DDD card, where it stops special summons. That's gone. You got rid of one of the biggest interruptions for a lot of decks with that deck. Yeah, they're going to relink stuff away, but that's a major threat. You've just crisis averted. You've just done. What other stuff do you do with Santa Claus? Well, it's good against the combo decks I mentioned. It's still good, and with multiple of them, you can play multiple of these on your opponent's field. Unlike Kaiju's, where it's one and just one. Well, I think you should be playing Santa Claus instead of Kaiju's. If you're playing a deck that plays Divine Arsenal, AA Zeus, Sky Thunder, plop this in defense mode in their field, attack with, I don't know, Time Thief Freedoer into it, or Baguska, punch, make Zeus. Profit. It is a card I would recommend you're playing if you're playing Z stuff, or you want to play a Kaiju. Santa Claus is the best one. Now, you're obviously playing Kaiju and stuff to deal with Pearly. Or the other issue, Herald of the Abyss. Without Thrust, you just play the Kaijus. And with Thrust, it does depend on you as a player and your deck. I'm playing Branded, I've mentioned that many a time now. I prefer Santa Claus and the other Kaijus because I can send off Branded Fusion if I need to. If I've got rid of my Rebellions, my Cartesias, that's still a light at the end of the day. If I need a Dark, Radiant's Dark. It's got those significance with my deck, and I don't own Thrust, it's the obvious answer. But I was actually playing this for a while in my Branded list. It's a good card, Herald of the Abyss. I'm just doing that so you can see it without glare. But it right now, I feel like it's a bit lackluster. Especially against decks like Rescue Ace. It's just and on Turbulence and like, well, you know then. Nothing. And even Pearly plays around at this point. I've seen Pearly decks set in stuff like Sleepy Memory. Not Sleepy Memory, Happy Memory, whatever it's called. Face down, and then you just flip it on their turn. They call, is it Dark Fiend or whatever? Or Dark Beast, whatever Pearly Noir is. They summon the little guy, and then they just remove the little guy instead. So it has more flaws than the Kaijus, this format, in my opinion. That's why I say you stick to the Kaijus. Is this the last? No, it's not. Back removal. 3 cards of back removal, and I'll be honest, they're going to get progressively worse as we go along, so that's your warning. I do think you need some back removal this format, but not masses. For example, Cosmic Cyclone, it's pretty good. Pay 1,000, banish 1 card. Means any graveyard effects from it, and it means stuff like skill drain. If there's just the 1 skill drain, you're not wasting an entire Feather Duster on it, or Lightning Storm. Also, it's a quick play spell, so going first is a decent siding option. So, yeah, Cosmic Cyclone's a decent card this format. I'm playing it. You got to play it in Branded. You have to play it in Branded because of Anti-Spell Fragrance existence. Sorry. It exists. You've got to do it. Harpy's Feather Duster. It's alright. It's limited as main issue. Same with Lightning Storm. If you play 3 Lightning Storm, 1 Feather Duster, they're alright. They're not amazing, but they are better than the final option. The reason why this card is so amazing, in my opinion, is that I think it hits, other than Unchained, it's really against all the decks, really. Because, excluding Mannadium here. Because Infinite forces an interruption. They want to keep their Angel Ring of whatever. Against Pearly, it removes their My Pearly and their Field Spell, which has been an issue for me in testing. And against Tearlament, they have Sulliek. You remove Sulliek, yeah, they get Search. But that's better than an extra negate, in my opinion. But what is the worst back removal you can play with this format? What is a card that I think is the most mid-sideboard card I've been playing for years? Years you've been playing this card. And it's a bit mid. Hello, evenly matched. I feel like although Jesse Cotton, Joshua Schmidt, DJ Khaled, like Kali Yu-Gi-Oh guy, they've all expressed their opinions on Evenly. I think I'll do my own. Evenly makes you skip battle phase, which against some decks, it's okay, that's fine, Labyrinth, that's fine, we remove nearly everything they have alone, that's fine. Tier, that's great, we've just gone through so many resources now. Unchained, okay, they just rebuilt their board. Pearly, oh wait, no, you can do it again next turn. Rescue Ace, it's decent actually, I'll give it it's good. Infernoble, oh, they've just got negate, you just waste your battle phase nothing. Mannadium, they've negated it, you waste your battle phase nothing. You see my point here, you just waste your battle phase. And when it does resolve, most of the deck's format, when you do resolve it, it doesn't matter. Unchained, they rebuild their board. Pearly, they only need 1 card. They're not even going to be like, oh no, my SP Little Knight and whatever. And my Pearly Noir. There's Barry the Little Knight. Like, cool. I've got my Pearly Noir, now what? I know what you're going to do. I draw evenly paired with a Kaiju in that instance. Great. But generally, just evenly by itself, it's not worth it. And I mentioned Little Knight. That's a great issue with evenly. Evenly matched. I mean, Little Knight banish itself and another card they want to keep. Once they want to keep, banish some other stuff, and suddenly they just kept 3 cards instead of 1 from evenly matched. The match is no longer even, people. So yes, evenly matched is very bad, this format, in my opinion. Very bad. If you're playing Go second deck, maybe play it. Other than that, don't bother. Felt very aggressive there, but yeah. These next couple cards are just generic board breakers I think are either good or they're exceptional this format. And they get progressively better in terms of Showdown. And they start off good with Dark Ruler no more. Dark Ruler, in terms of against the meta decks, it's against Infernoble, it forces the Angel Ring. So if you have 2, if I reread this, this is not a once per turn. So you could go Dark Ruler, chain Dark Ruler. You go chain Dark Ruler, okay, negate it, cool. Dark Ruler, and then that's their interruptions gone. But one of the decks is going against Mannadium, it's alright. They don't die. Pearly, they need to die that turn or you will lose. And it doesn't affect Noir. Tearlament, it's alright, I guess. Has its flaws. Sorry, wait for a cough. Unchained, it's alright, I guess. They'll just redo it anyway, it doesn't matter to them. So yeah, does not matter, this format against the other decks. But, why am I calling it good? In a regional setting, and even in Swiss strands of YCS, you will play Rogue. There is no denying it. Either it's early tables or late tables, you'll have that one madman playing a Rogue deck that you just never anticipate. I went to a regional in Canterbury, I think it was last month or the month before. Runic Sprite for hire. Why not? And I lost the game to it. Now, the guy played the game exceptionally well, and I respect him for that. But this sort of won me the game. Hands down. I wasn't playing it because it's not alright. In a regional setting, you got to prepare for people not just to be playing meta. It's the main thing people have got to learn. I want to know why YCS you might want to just get towards the meta and figure out from there rogue decks. In locals or a regional, you want to prepare for those rogue decks because they're what people play because it's fun. And they're not trying to go for like the gold in a regional setting usually. My brother played Synchron in the last one. Synchron. It was catastrophe. He went 2-7. And he got his 2 wins because one guy dropped. He got the bye. He got a bye. But he had fun. That's the main thing. And this did ruin his day. And I think it's also good against other decks that are not meta per se, but they're really good, like tier 2, like Dragon Link, like I guess Branded. You see that? Sprite I mentioned, it's going against Horus Bestials, whatever, Orcusts, PK. It's good. It's decent. So I do think you should recommend trying it in your local scenario and testing out. But if you don't want to bother with that and you've got stuff that out of it's in the graveyard, may I introduce you to Forbidden Droplet. Now remember the benefits I gave DRNM, right? Now times that by 2, because it's sent to grave. So if you go, normal summon, I'll use it random because it's the deck I play. Normal Aluber, I play Aluber, and they chain Imperm. This is go second. Chain Droplet, send Aluber for 1 negate minimum. So, they have Little Knight, they can't chain, that's useless to them. They have, what other cards would there be? Fenrir's or whatever, that's going to be negated. Other stuff like other spells, other traps, they can't respond with anything else. So it means this can in theory be spell speed 4, like Super Polymerization, which we'll touch on in a minute. But the main benefit to this is that it does not target, meaning those people like Dragoon stuff or other cards that cannot be targeted doesn't really matter here. And it sends to grave, so grave effect activates. So if you're playing Tearlament, I send Havness to grave through Droplet and Havness effect. And even rogue decks like Hero, for example, will be playing this because it's going to be decent. Malicious activates in grave, Shadow Mist activates in grave. I think I've seen Pearly playing it at one point, which was shocking to me, but I've seen it. I've seen a lot of things, so who knows. But yeah, it's a good card. I would recommend it. Super Poly is a bit better in my opinion, if you can play it. This is referring to decks like Rescue Ace. This is referring to Tearlament, Centurion, Branded. I mention Branded a lot. I do not, for pure bit here, Branded is not good this format. It's not great. I'm playing Keeper because I can. It's fun. And in there, I'm having a fun. But generally, Branded's not good. I mean, now I mentioned a lot, but it's because I'm specializing right now. Super Volley is good if you can use it, because it's spell speed for me. The only deck I think that can stop Super Volley is Infernoble. That's the only one, which is shocking to me, because you have other decks in the format, like Pearly, that can't technically stop this. Technically being the word here, the operative word. In theory, they do have some cards in their deck that can play around it. Like if they own, it's not great against them, but you can't really play around it if they do get Darth Vader. I believe you can do like, Little Pearly, like E-Pearly Noir plus Little Knight into Super Volley. So it can work. It's not amazing. Tearlament, it's great. Unchained, I'd argue it's great. It's good against a lot of decks this format, which I really would recommend if you can play it. But I get Extra Deck is tight. It's 2023. Extra decks are really tight, especially for decks like Branded. I struggled with my Extra Deck. But this lets you play stuff like Mud Dragon, which means you're not targeted, meaning Veilers, Imperms, Mourners. Other cards target. Fenrir, Noir, they don't work anymore. Meaning this, it's really handy to have for breaking boards or in dodging Imperms. End of the day, it's worth it. And what is the best piece of non-engine? There's not a hand trap, in my opinion, in this format. It's not a Triple Tactics Thrust, because that'd be too easy, and I don't own one. It's Talent, surprisingly enough. Let me explain. We're in a hand trap heavy format. And I don't mean like, oh no, my Tearlament's Rhino Heart got Ash. No way. I'm talking like hands open, consisting of like Imperm, Adorable, Ash, Nibiru, Centurion Primera. That's a Centurion hand. A lot of hands have Ash plus something else, or Droll, Veiler. You're not just going to have hands where the opponent won't have a hand trap usually. Because it's the format we live in right now. There's going to be at least one hand trap you got to prepare for. Unless that hand trap's Imperm, you're playing around it. Let's see here. If they draw you, draw 2 is no longer a thing, but you can look at the hand and rip a card. So if they got Centurion and you rip out their starter, oh no, you need to draw that starter specifically to win the game now. You can look into like Tearlament and take what they need. You can, if you don't get draw your Ash, you can draw more cards to get more engine in decks that need it. In decks going second, you can use it to take a monster, and then like say you take not Noir, Fenrir. You can out plenty of things you wouldn't normally be able to. It's super, super good, this format. I'm underestimating how good it is, but you'll hear people like Joshua Schmidt raving about this card, how good it is in a hand trap heavy format. So pick these up now. It's my recommendation. They've been printed in the Rarity Collection, Magnificent Mavens, which is where this one's from, as reprints, and they're a lot cheaper than they have been. Pick them up before they go up in price. It's my big thing for this. So what have we learned today? TTT, really good. Ash Bottom, really good. Evenly, not good. But yeah, I do hope you guys have enjoyed the video. It's a bit more informative. It's a bit more me talking at a camera, which it's something interesting. Again, I'm not the most competitive player in the world, but you might want to hear different people's thought, like trains of thought, I think I'm going to call it. Yeah, that's the phrase. When they're deck building or putting in non-engine. Yeah, thank you all for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, I guess, if you want to. And until the next one, cheerio!